Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. I see Stacy and Annette and Dawn and Margaret and Tommy and Tanya and Debbie and Lucy. Wonderful. This is great. We have a wonderful webinar for you tonight. I love these things. I can't believe I'm not sick of them. Do you know that this is number 83? This is our SCW's 83rd webinar. Like, I don't think I've had a free Tuesday or Thursday night, hello, in over 12 months. So it's okay. I love what I do. This is great. What I'd like all of you to do at home is move your mouse, go down to the share screen button. Don't push it because it won't take you anywhere. Go to the chat box, which is on your left. Please click on it and look. Kimberly Glick has sent us all a message. Welcome, everyone. So please type in your name and where you're from. We love to know where you're from. And also, this makes us sure that you know how to use this chat box, because if you have questions, if you have suggestions, we definitely want you to share. So I see Chrissy from Pennsylvania and Emily from Jackson Hole, Wyoming. That's an awesome place to ski. Grace from Denton, Texas. Jamie Bay from Bakersfield, Western Massachusetts, Knoxville, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Syracuse, New York. We've got people from all over. We have over 150 people that have registered for this webinar, and we have a bet going whether there will be probably 60, 70 people show up, because we do record all our webinars. A lot of people like to watch them on their own time. I like to watch them live because then I can ask questions. And that's my favorite thing. So we've got these three wonderful ladies with us who are experts in fusion fitness. And the goal is hardcore, but time poor. I love that. I think that's so cute. Think about that, you guys. Steal that name. It's an adorable name. Hardcore, but time poor. Fusion workouts. Combining multiple disciplines is a guaranteed way to torch calories and chase away boredom. All right. Strengthening, toning, burning fat, making most of your clients' time. These are all the reasons that we want to use our fusion workouts. And we're going to share with you some of the different techniques these wonderful ladies have implemented, and also some different ways to incorporate them into your existing programs, whether they're online, hybrid, or actually live in your studios. So first thing, Kimberly Spreen-Glick has over 25 years of experience teaching and presenting on yoga and fitness, as well as professional and personal development. She also is the author of our new life coaching certification that we're launching soon. Yay, we're so thrilled to have her. And she's wearing pink, which is like one of my favorite colors in the world. So I'm very excited. She served as the senior director of group fitness at Lifetime for over a decade and is an IDEA program director of the year. So that's very cool. We have Mica O'Dell, which I'm really thrilled about because I really haven't spent a lot of time with Mica. And that's one of the beauties of these webinars, is that not only I get to meet these people, but all of you get to meet these special people. She's actually the program director of Barre Intensity. And think about that. You don't think about Barre Intensity. This is the quintessential fusion programs. She also has a kinesiology degree, and she's always expanding her fitness knowledge. She holds certifications in personal training, cycle, Pilates, Les Mills classes. She's just a wealth of knowledge. Doris Thews makes sure that she is 10 years senior to Kimberly Spreen. So she's been in the industry 35 years. So she's much smarter than Kimberly, although Kimberly is more attractive. It's just a personal opinion. Doris is, okay, that was a joke, really. Doris was a fitness industry veteran and an international award-winning fitness educator, including the 2019 World Idea Fitness Instructor of the Year. And she also did all of SCW's keynote addresses. I think it was 2019, wasn't it? Yeah, a little bit in 18 and all the way in 19. I swear, you do the keynotes for SCW and you're going to win an IDEA award. That's like a rule, right? But I love this idea of fusion fitness, and I think we all have to look at this. We did get a question, Mike Lieber. Somebody's having trouble logging in. What is the meeting ID and password? So I can watch on my computer. There is no meeting ID required. if you want. You can always copy the link that was texted to you and email it to yourself if you need to. Sometimes people do that on their phone. So what is a fusion workout? Mica, I'm starting with you because I can.
I'll take it. So fusion workouts are going to be anything that's going to combine two different disciplines and exercise. Now they can be similar, like Pilates and yoga have always been fused together for a long time. Or, I mean, we get crazy things fused together now, like barre and boxing is huge. And they're two different styles of workout, but they complement each other so well. So those fusion workouts are just combining different ideas of fitness together.
So that's great. And with Barre Fusion, what are you guys combining with your programs?
So with Barre Intensity, our basic barre class, our signature barre class pulls from Pilates, yoga, but also functional fitness. So it's going to incorporate a little bit of dance, but you don't have to be like a ballerina to take it. From personal experience, we also have our Barre Intensity interval training. So there we're taking the high intensity interval trend and blending it with barre movements. I've done many different ones as well, like a class that combines bench work, which we use for cardio, combined with barre elements. I've done dance classes that have dance intervals combined with barre elements. So lots of different, I mean, anything goes pretty much in fusion fitness.
And you were describing, before we turned the cameras on, you were describing a really cool class. And I kept picking at it because I'm like, oh my God, I want to do this. How do you do this? It's called—
I can send it to you.
You have to. It's called bench and barre, or barre and bench?
It's called B5 is what, and it stands for bench, barre, ball, band, and balance. We just want to get a fun number. So we incorporate the main idea of it is going to be—
everybody on this call, that's not a copywritten name. So
no,
everybody scribble that down. And that's run in Fayetteville Club in Arkansas. But hello, we got people from Connecticut. Go with it. Go with it. Let's share the knowledge. Yeah, share the love. Go ahead, Mica. Sorry for interrupting.
No, you're fine. So B5 is going to take HIIT bench work, and it's a step. We just had to use a B word, so we called it a bench. We take HIIT bench work and we combined different tracks. So it is set to music, but we combined that with different barre tracks. And it took a little figuring out of the flow of the class because, you know, sometimes we have weights, sometimes we have balls. You need shoes on for the bench work. You can have your shoes off for the barre work. So we have about 10 to 11 tracks that alternate between barre, bench. Sometimes we use the bench top, which is a great tool right now for if you don't have a barre, or if your club, you can't use the bars because you can fit more space in the center of the room than at the barre.
So you just lift the bench up, top of the step, turn it on its side, and then hold on to it, and it's your barre.
It's your barre, but better because it's not 100% stable. So I do recommend putting it on a mat so that it doesn't slide if you have hardwood floors. But when you use it, yes, I can lean against it for some balance, but I still have to hold my body weight up. So I'm using my body a lot more effectively than when you kind of go to the bar and just, you know, slunch into it and don't really use your body how you should. So it's a great class. I have so much fun. Tomorrow's since I'm leaving the club here shortly, we're doing an 80s theme. So it's all 80s track and I whip out a leotard for it. So it's a fun fusion class.
I'd pay money for that. All right. Raise your hand if you still have a thong. Anybody? Anyone? Bueller? Oh God, I'm humiliated. Okay. So yeah, thank you, Kimberly. So when you ran Lifetime for 10 years and obviously you're this yoga guru. What do you like to do in your fusion classes?
Oh, goodness. I mean, the beauty of fusion is that you really can incorporate anything that you love. And I have my entire, I think, career teaching focused on strength training, kickboxing, and since a few years in yoga. So I love incorporating those elements. But honestly, I love anything and everything that brings a group of people together to move and have fun and be healthier. So any of the boot camp style classes, there's been a huge uptick in bringing cycle into this game too. So there's been like cycle and strength training, like cycle sculpt classes, cycle yoga classes. It's just, you know, there's one cycle into Zen. So really anything that you love, you can start to—
Oh, those are great names. Those are, yeah, really fun. And you're Miss Kickboxing woman, so I can't call it a girl because you do have 25 years experience. But when you integrate them, talk to me about how you're going to integrate them, because a lot of us have been teaching for quite a while. We have a skill. I've been, certified in multiple, I don't even know how many, how many programs I've been certified in, but being able to use that skill set differently, it's like, it just lifts your spirit up. And it also helps your clientele see something new. So what are some of the different modalities that you integrate?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the beauty of it. I know we're going to talk about the benefits of fusion workouts. So to lead off with a benefit is that hey everybody, we as instructors, we get to pull in the disciplines that we love and incorporate them into a workout. Now, how do you put it together? You can do it a couple of different ways, depending on how long the class is. Let's look at like a traditional hour. You could do 30 minutes of one modality and 30 minutes of another modality. Or what I love to do is break it up into intervals. One of my favorite classes I teach is called Strike Kickboxing, where we do a segment of cardio kickboxing, then we bring up the weighted bar and do movements that will bring in the element of muscular endurance training. And so it really gets to be based on what you're trained in and you're passionate about. You can play with different ways of putting it together. Let's say you are going to do a 45-minute workout and you want to bring in 3 modalities that you love. You want to do high intensity cardio, strength training, and yoga. You could do 15, 15, 15. Like, it really gets to be up to you. And if you're unsure, you can always survey your community as well. But this is where we get to be creative and have a lot of fun with it.
Oh, I like that idea. And Doris, you were, when we were talking, I asked, oh, and how long are the fusion workouts? Do you recommend like a full hour? And you were like, oh my, no. So what do you think is like the sweet spot for creating fusion workouts?
Well, it's really interesting. It depends on where you're at. And the thing about COVID is we've created a whole new space, which is the tech space. So you're looking at virtual, you're looking at on demand. And I have found that the consumer, which some of it is a new consumer, because they had nothing to do, and they're like, health is important, maybe I should work out, and then have decided to start these workouts. I have had the pleasure of doing a lot of fitness tech. I live in California, so I actually can't teach live. I've been teaching virtually this entire time. And I just got done doing an app, which is about to be released, and I have the analytics, and people only want a half hour online. That's all they want. And even if it's a 45-minute class, they shut off at the half hour mark. And I also think some of those 45-minute classes in clubs, a lot of it is blah, 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 let's work, blah, 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 blah. And I think at home, you get to work, you get it done. So I think the actual workplace is 30 minutes. And this is not a trend. This has been around for quite some time. I remember doing like pedal and pulse for Schwinn. I've done row and flow for Indo Row, sweat and stretch with 24-hour, like years ago. It's been around. In fact, Pyo, which was Pilates and yoga, is its own staple. And then the Piloxing. And so I think it's been around for a while, and it's not going anywhere. It's here to stay. And we have the ability to be innovative and creative for all the various markets to serve our members.
And I really agree with you that people like shorter workouts. Even with Anytime Fitness, I do a lot of research right now on not only on trends, but what's going on in the world, because I do the talks and takes show with Ursa. I do that with Bill McBride, Brent Darden, and Blair McHaney. And it's really kind of, and I'm always the only chick in the room. And I love it because I feel like I can inject a little bit of the group X, we're the heart and soul of the gym. But I look at all these fusion workouts, and you're absolutely right. People want shorter times. And I also think it's because if I'm going to get in my car and I'm going to drive to the gym, I better use that for an hour. Because if I'm just driving there for a 30-minute workout, I'm not quite sure it's really going to fill my needs. So maybe when we get more live, people are going to feel more committed that I'm here. I better darn well take advantage. I mean, I drove here, I spent the gas, I found a parking space, etc. So Anytime Fitness, what I started saying was when they did research on looking what most people tended to like and appreciate, it was that 45-minute mark, which I thought was interesting. It's kind of like that, that midpoint between the 30-minute and the 45. But that was also when they were doing like a fitness on demand, meaning people walking into a small kiosk and working out with just a screen. They only wanted 45 minutes. I'm wondering if when we get live, we could do, 4 for 4, like 15 minutes of bar, 15 minutes of strength, 15 minutes of cardio, and then 15 minutes of flexibility. I love the names again that you brought up, Doris, at the beginning. Can you shoot those off for us again?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going back in history. So, row and flow, which was rowing and yoga. Rowing and resistance was rowing and resistance. I did cycle and sweat and stretch, which was an old 24-hour fitness cycling and yoga product I created. And then pedal and pulse has been a Schwinn workshop for quite some time that always sells out. And I mean, that is one of many. We're so creative and innovative.
Oh, yeah. But that's great to have that. A good friend of mine, Ann Gilbert, does a terrific program called Surf and Turf, because she wanted to be able to use the pool, but she wanted people using land. So I think what they did at first, they had people in, doing strength training, and then they had them go into the locker room and change and get in the pool. But people preferred doing the pool first. So they get out, they dry off, they change, they go do the strength, and then they go right home. So I thought that was pretty cool and pretty nice and innovative. So Doris, what do you see are the advantages of fusion? We already rattled off a few, but can you elaborate on that at all?
Well, number one, it's not a big investment of time, especially when you're looking at 30 minutes. And so it's almost like having a bunch of appetizers or tapas. You're going to try a little this and a little this and a little this, and then the time goes by. And for people who have ADD tendencies or short attention spans or cat-like spans, we love things quick and delicious and fast. Oh, that's nice. And I think people love that fusion class. It's also for the instructors, they're not bored. But one thing I've learned is I just did this app, and it's for a sports specific athlete. And I recognize I can only do so much of his sport. So what do I need to do? I need to fuse in things that actually support the sport, which would be resistance training. What else? Meditation. What else? Mind body stretching. So you can look at it two ways, not just having fun, but what really supports the ultimate goal, and then fusing those alongside. And then it's almost like I'm a hope dealer, a drug dealer, a hope dealer. I hope you'll come take a longer class. I hope, and I'm trying to fish them into other content.
Oh, I like that. And Kimberly, you were nodding.
Yeah, I think it's such a great point. I mean, what do we want more than anything in our world? We want to lower the barrier to entry. And if there's someone, I go back into my mind, kickboxing has been a big part of my world for a long time, and people have been very intimidated to try kickboxing. But when you can bring kickboxing into a fusion workout where they can try kickboxing without having to commit to a full hour or even a full 30 or 45 minutes of just straight nonstop kickboxing, it's either half and half or it gets broken up in some way. People are much more willing to take the step into that, to give it a try. It's awesome.
Mica, what do you think about that?
I was going to say the same thing. So you're going to get people trying stuff that they may not try otherwise. Maybe you love Pilates, but like if it's a Pilates yoga class, but you're scared to death of yoga. And so you'll find your strength in the thing that you like, but then you just start to flow into the other one. And it's not, oh, I don't want to take a yoga class. It's, oh, I really like this. And people may have been turned off to certain things that they had no idea because they never give them a try. So I think it's amazing.
Oh, I totally agree with that, because running a convention, what I have to do sometimes is I'm like weaving in and out of rooms. Like I put my head in, but I can't stay in the class because the presenters kind of freak out and go, oh my God, Sarah's there. And then they start stuttering and they begin to suck. And that's not, that's not advantageous for anyone. So I usually kind of like will sneak in and poke my head in and hope I'm not seen and hide behind the door monitor and check it out. And then I'm like, oh my gosh. That's, to be honest with you, that's one of the, I'd been doing yoga forever and ever and ever, but I never thought about teaching it. And I stuck my head in to hear the introduction. I think Lawrence Biscantini was leading the first yoga cert. And I'm listening to this and I'm listening to this like, oh, I know I've been a student forever. I could teach this. I could teach this. I sat down the entire day. That little peek in, I was sucked in for the next 8 hours and I stayed. Now, I don't think anybody's going to do kickboxing for 8 hours in a row, unless Kimberly Spreen is teaching, of course. But it gives you that taste. It gets you a little bit hooked. So can someone share with me some of the science behind a fusion workout? Like, if the fusion workout might have been in the HIIT format, what might some of the physiological benefits be of that type of programming?
Well, you can definitely use fusion workouts if you're talking about something like HIIT or interval to be able to create a heart rate profile that has tremendous scientific benefits. So when you create a heart rate profile that takes you like past AT or anaerobic threshold for a certain period of time, like a HIIT workout or a fusion interval workout, if you prefer to call it that, then the benefit of the improved stamina, strength, endurance of the heart and the lungs is definitely going to be beneficial in a way that allows people to access that improvement, even if they're not necessarily at the endurance level that they could sustain that level of intensity above threshold for an extended period of time. You can just kind of dip them in and out of it. It's awesome. Awesome is my word today. Have you know? Like awesome.
I love that word. I think it's awesome. And Mica, do you see that with some of the Barre Intensity stuff that you're doing?
So yes, if we're having something that's going to be a much higher, like our our bit class is set to where it's a 55-minute class, but we do have 45-minute and 30-minute options. So we have a set interval that is to take the heart rate up. And then we have intervals that are to bring the heart rate down. So doing 55 minutes worth of work, if I was, high intensity the entire time, that's not going to be as beneficial. I would make that one my 30-minute one. But with that up and down, we hit about at least 12. Our goal is 12 to 15 minutes of the class above your 80 to 85% threshold. And so then we bring it back down so you can recover. But we're also switching the gears from that heavy, I'm sweaty, I'm out of breath, I'm catching my breath, to then more of that bar burn feeling. And it's that, deep burn in the muscles because I may be holding like a chair pose. So we incorporate different elements of it to get the heart rate spike, but then also get the lower down. And since we do that, we can stay and go longer if we want to, or do the Barre Intensity, the bit blast. And that's just 30 minutes of let's get as much out of this as we possibly can in those 30 minutes.
That sounds interesting. Doris, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I always think about counterbalancing. So if I'm going to teach a yoga class where I have you in a fixed position, and it's a very stressful position because you're clipped to a bike, your knee and your hips never fully extend. I want you off the bike. I want you to open up. I want to introduce you to yoga. I want you to do. I don't want you to walk out like this because it's not attractive. I want you to walk out like this, right? I want to change that body and realign it and keep it healthy and safe so you come back to me. And also, if I'm going to do resistance off the bike, I'm going to do stuff that supports and counterbalances the activity. And so I always think of it's an opportunity to keep they're kind of trapped in the room, right? We lock the room and we're like, I have you now. And so I love to kind of like sneak in things. And by the way, besides our participants, we also should dabble in other things. Like every once in a while when I got to dance, I'm horrified, but I love it. But I will only do one dance. Like we also need to shake it up as instructors. We need to do different things. And it's also our opportunity to taste, try, and laugh with ourselves.
No, I completely agree with that, because I'll go in and I'll take a different class that I'm used to teaching or I'm used to enjoying. And I'll always pull something out that I can apply somewhere else. Like if I'm teaching a regular yoga class, but I'm taking something and I absolutely, maybe it's just the music. I just love the music. I'm going to use, oh my God, I did a throwback Thursday and I used Donna Summers. Oh, I was, and the thing is, the class are singing along and I look at them, I'm like, oh my God, if I could really see you, I could tell that you're old. You're just as old as I am. And it's a lot of fun to do that. Now we talked a little bit about exercise combinations. Okay. Like I love the bench and the bar and the ball and the band and the B5. I'm trying to get them all, and balance, right? Was that the last one? Love that. So cute. And, but to manipulate intensity and effectiveness, are there certain exercise combinations, Doris, that you've seen? Because I loved it that you rattled them off, and I love that you talked about the kyphosis, the rounding of the shoulders and the forward head and pulling it back and pulling it back and lifting up the girls. I can't even see that. I'm on Zoom. Here we go. We're going to lift up the girls. But whatever that helps with our posture and alignment, what other combinations seem to work well together that you guys have found?
Well, if your point, I really like using toys, bringing in toys. You can do the same yoga flow, but if you bring in a BOSU balance trainer, now all of a sudden the ground just lifted a little higher to me. I'm not kneeling on concrete. I'm kneeling on a beautiful dome. I even bringing in a little toy, because the squat is a squat is a squat is a squat. But when you start bringing in a toy, it's a different thing. So I also think fusion could be introducing toys like, okay, today we've never used this product. Let's go get it. And it can affect and change a class that you've already taught and make it so different and so special.
Yeah, I like that idea. I also like it because not only is it, you're trying something new. Sometimes as instructors, we fail. Okay. Like we're like, okay, I'm going to do this and this and this. And you get in there to do it. And okay, I'm embarrassed. I know Mica is this big, everything's coordinated and memorized. She's got this, she's very systematic. Sometimes I just walk in and you know what? It's dashboard choreography. I'm getting my butt to that gym and I'm just looking at the dashboard. What music am I going to use today? What am I going to do? And using a different tool. And even sometimes when your students see that I don't even want to say fail, but when maybe you're not as successful with some of the exercises that you thought you were, it gives a human element and they feel a little bit more comfortable. I do see that Laura says that she does Throwback Thursdays and she does a disco light. Oh my God, I found one of those on Rhode-IslandNovelty.com. Rhode-IslandNovelty.com. I think it's RINovelty.com. That's the website. And I found a little disco ball. It was like $16. And you plug it in and then you turn the lights down and it spins around and it was just wonderful. I had to buy my own extension cord. That was the only additional expense, but it was so fun. But that does make it exciting. And she also says, Laura said the BOSU interval was a hit for me in the past. Oh, there it is. Thank you. Mike Lieber, who is our wonderful fearless leader, just put the website in for Rhode Island Novelty. Love that. Kimberly, what do you like to manipulate? I know you're always pushing in, slipping and sliding in that kickboxing and yoga, but what other things have you implemented that you found to be successful?
From a broader perspective, I tend to think about the yin and yang balance as far as energy goes, because when you think through from an energy balance standpoint, you really can create not only an interval profile as far as physical intensity and heart rate profile, but you can create an emotional profile that's pretty cool as well. So whether you're doing maybe a half boot camp and then moving into bar, or boot camp and bar, or a kickboxing into yoga. Sarah, do you remember when I did box and flow?
Yes.
One for you, box and flow. I did that one for SCW. So you're creating not only an intensity journey, a journey for your heart and your lungs, but an emotional journey as well, where you can kind of take them up to don't get me wrong, but like a climax, so to speak, and then bring them back down. Or you can take them on a journey that allows them to kind of get their yah-yahs out 1 minute and then bring it back in the next. And one of the things that I am always reminding my students is that one measure of how strong you are is how hard you can push yourself. And there's nothing wrong with that. But an equally important measure is how quickly, after you've stressed your body, maybe your mind, your emotional state, how quickly can you bring yourself back to a place of calm? That measure is equally as important. And when you create that kind of interval, both intensity and emotionally, intensity-wise and emotionally, you're training yourself to maybe push hard, to stress your body and to go at it, and then to come back down to a place of calm. And I honestly believe that training like that is something that will benefit us outside of our workouts in the world.
Yeah, I completely agree on that. I see now my words are I completely agree um, for this webinar. But I
Always.
do because I think, we're going along our merry way in life, and something happens, like you get a phone call and your kid's in the hospital, and you're like, and everything lifts up, and your mood, it's like you just got an injection, not of a vaccine, but of coffee, of caffeine, and you're like, how do I deal with this? And if you physiologically have been able to train yourself to go from a high intensity program to pull yourself down and together, I think that creates value. Um, and we do have, Dawn actually says that Bounce and Barre was a hit for her program, and utilizing a rebounder for the Bounce, it has become, with the Barre has become very valuable. And I do think those signature type of programs do tend to work. Mica, what have you found with the signature programs? Do you think people are attracted to and feel connected to the name and the type of program? And what are the benefits of that?
Yes, I do. Talking about Bounce and Barre, I bought myself one of the fancy jump sport trampolines for Christmas because I'm obsessed with rebounding. I like to jump, like I teach super high intensity classes with tuck jumps and all that stuff. And I feel good jumping on the ground, but I love getting on the trampoline and having that freedom of height and no impact. So Bounce and Barre is huge. And there's a couple different ways you can do those. My jump sport actually has a bar attached to it. And so I can use it for the bounce, but then I can also do my Barre segments, my same, V work, and get that deep thigh burn, and then pop out of it and get that release right there. So I think Bounce and Barre is amazing. So Don, great job there.
And
but the
I also,
go ahead.
No, go ahead,
No,
please.
go ahead. You ask it. Ask it.
And no, I was going to ask you just about the signature programs, and you just started talking.
Yeah, so I think the signature programs, people do like having an idea of what they're getting into. So sometimes if you get into a fusion class, it may be like it's these two disciplines, but it just depends on the instructor. And they could pull from, their type of yoga or just whatever the fusion is. When you have a signature program, people know what they're getting into. Now, within that signature program, I could throw some different stuff at them. I can always challenge them, but they have that sense of, I know how this class is going to go. I know I'm going to get a great workout. I know I'm going to work my total body or whatever the focus is. Sometimes when there's a little too much freedom, it could go really well if you have a strong instructor who can do those disciplines well. But if you had someone who maybe Pilates is not what they should be teaching, but they pull that in, it may not be the best Pilates experience. So that's where the signature, it's like, I know I'm getting into this. I know it's going to be a great workout. I know whoever's teaching it also is certified or has knowledge of all the formats they're doing.
Yeah, because we live in a Starbucks world. People want to know, when I go into that club, I want to know what I'm getting. Because again, I drove all the way there. I've made a commitment of maybe even 2 hours of my time, even if it's only an hour and a half of my time. That's a huge chunk of time. And people have gotten very selfish now. They like to cook at home. They do their work at home. They like their computer at home. Everything's convenient. Okay. And I do think because we are in a Starbucks world, I know that for a while, I stopped teaching. I don't know if any of you have done that. I took a hiatus for almost 6 months from teaching. I would sub, but I was doing a lot of workshops and a lot of webinars and seminars and things like that. When I went back to taking class, not being the teacher, taking the class, I would get really irritated if it wasn't my regular instructor. I would get irritated if I didn't get the class that I signed up for. Don't sprinkle in stuff. I didn't sign up for sprinkling. Okay. I want good stuff. So I do think that there is so much validity in pre-choreographed programs, set programs. And it doesn't mean that you have to, license Les Mills or license other programs, but developing your own brand, like the B5s, like, kickboxing and, and yoga, kick yoga, whatever you want to call it, yoga kick, or I don't know. I can't come up with a good name. So you guys come up with the good names, but it's really kind of fun. So can fusion workouts be effective without equipment? And I think we asked that question because so many people are still like you, Doris, and you, Kimberly, they're stuck virtual and they can't go in live. So Doris, can these workouts be effective without equipment?
I just wrote 60 workouts for an app, no equipment. There's body weight, but you can get creative. You can say, grab a towel. You can jump in place to mimic a jump rope. You'd be amazed. Well, first of all, home fitness products have gone through the roof. They've more than doubled their sales last year, and we're not even done this year. And so it's surprisingly what people actually have in their home, believe it or not. But even with that, with slim pickings, we are creative, and we have figured out to move our body in so many different ways. And it could be time under tension, it could be pulse, it could be the song. What's beautiful about our industry is how innovative we have been and resilient this last year. And so, yes, we can do anything. We could do a squat 106,000 ways if we needed to.
Now, I'm going to get a little bit off track, and I know we didn't write these down in our questions, but how do you think we're going to pop back when we do reopen? Because all these people purchase their own fitness equipment, why should they even come back to the gym?
I'm happy to answer this because there are studies that are saying that 48% of the people will not come back. They just will not. Just not sure. And then there's like I just did these quotes, and it was according to URSA. So this is not Doris made up. And there was like 28% for sure coming back, and then 18 were like, I think I might, and the other ones were undecided. Here's what's going to happen. It's going to be both. I think it's a beautiful thing. I love to roll out of bed and take a Pilates class, and who cares what my hair looks like. But then I want to grab my coffee mug to go and go into the club because I want to cycle with my peeps, and then go into that Lifetime Cafe and have the best breakfast. So I think it's the consumer has changed, and someone on the chat said, oh, no one wants to get back on their computer. A Zoom business call and taking a fun class, kind of totally two different things, but it's going to be both. I believe it will be a 60-40. I think brick and mortar, you'll never, ever forget the live experience, 60 in the brick and mortar. And I think the other 40, the outside workouts and apps. Apps are here to stay. They're not going anywhere.
And I do agree with you to a point. But I just read a wonderful McKinsey analysis. They interview about 2,000 people in their reviews. And they were looking at they do cross industries. So it's not just about fitness, it's across all industries. And what they found was it depends on the industry if they're coming back. And they didn't really, of course, target into fitness because, to be honest with you, we're a very small industry. There's only supposedly 41,000 clubs. Maybe if you include YMCAs and little boutiques and rec centers, you're going to get up to 100,000. But that's so much smaller, let's say, than restaurants, which are 990,000 restaurants in this world compared to 100,000, or salons, which are 640,000. So we are a small industry. But what they said was, when you look across the industries, two industries needed to come back full blast. One of them was a judiciary, pulling people into the courts because you need to read the body language in that situation. And the second was school, because they've had a lot of kids like drop out of school. It's been a terrible experience for not just kids, but young adults as well. So I look at this and I go, I gotta hang on, that we're a little bit about education. And the people, it seems to be, when you need to get that physical feedback that you need in school, that you need in the judiciary, you don't need it in finance and accounting. You can work at home. It doesn't, that doesn't bother you. But when you need to get that feedback, you can't simply, I'm tilting my camera up and down here. Thank God I'm wearing pants today. But when you don't know what I wear during these webinars, but when I think about, can I really see my client? Is this just a performance? And I don't care what they're doing, because half the time they're in downward dog. I'm doing downward dog to show them what to do. I can't see them. I'm looking at it doesn't really work. So I think, to some extent, the group fitness instructor and the group fitness participant is the hero, because we're the ones going to bring them back. We're the ones that need that interpersonal, I got to see what you're doing thing. Yes. So, and it said, Stacy just asked a question. Are we a small industry because we are so late to virtual? I don't think we're that late to virtual. I saw people just, group fitness instructors, I saw them right when the pandemic hit offering free classes online. The clubs didn't do it. We did it. We
When
did it. Now we were kind of,
think about all the shows that used to be on TV, like ESPN and things like that. We've been in the virtual space for a while. I think fitness is a small industry because it's a small percentage of human beings that want to make fitness a priority in their lives. But that's
yeah,
up to
but
us to change.
yeah, but I know you, Kimberly, you were right on there with Inspired Life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you were
Yeah.
right on there helping people. Now, maybe we jumped in so quickly and we didn't charge. We should have started charging, but we thought the pandemic was going to lift. But I think we jumped into it pretty quickly. Um, Michael, what do you think? Do you think we jumped into it quickly enough?
Yeah, I mean, I jumped in. So my club closed on March 17th. And I said I was needed to take like a day because I was stressed out and not eating because huge stress. I have 80 employees that I had to say, I don't know when we're going to open back up. I jumped on the next day and did like I was crying on Facebook Live. I'm not a crier, and I'm crying on Facebook Live just from all the emotion and everything. And everyone was like, thank you. We need to see you be real right now. And then I did like a 10-minute workout. And from there, I'm going to cry about it right now, just thinking of it. It was a big day. From there, that became my job. And it helped me through it all. We opened back up in May. I'm in Arkansas, but it helped me through it all because it gave me a sense of normalcy. I'm in there. My job is to, lead you through a workout. It's to motivate you, inspire you. And I'm still doing it, even though it's through a camera. So every day I was posting stuff for my club. We were staying connected. I had a member, send me a message saying, you were the one constant. As her group fitness instructor, I was her constant in her life when she was going through a divorce. She knew anytime she came to me, she was getting a great workout. When COVID hit, I was the same constant. And, she was like, you helped me get through that because your face was on there. You're going to push me. We're taking that 30 minutes not to think about what's happening in this world. It's just, let's have some fun. Let's work. Let's sweat. So I think we jumped in fast. I think, everyone was giving stuff away for free because we just were trying to keep people motivated. And then it started to flip of, this is going to be an ongoing thing. I built an online platform for our club and we have over 150 classes that's including your membership because when we opened the doors, it wasn't that busy. And yes, it's gotten much busier, especially as vaccines roll out. This month has been a huge month for us, but there's still faces I haven't seen in a year. And I don't know if they're going to come back, but if they're not going to come back and see me personally, they're going to come back and see me virtually. So it's being able to offer both. And, if you're filming classes while you're teaching live classes, it gets a little tricky. It can be done with a hybrid, but then sometimes you're missing out on these people because you're, doing this. So I actually film classes, either do just Zoom, or film something separate and then have just my live classes.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. And Stacy kind of wanted to rephrase her question. She said, how are we going to get the other 85% we've been missing? Like, we know that actually it went from 15%. It really went up to 18% of the population was exercising, and then boom, COVID hit. So do you guys, I think, Mica, you kind of answered it. I think it is a way, these virtual are a way to bring a little bit of, part of that 85% in because, I don't want to walk in. I don't want people to see me. I'm going to leave my camera off. Maybe that is a way to dig into that 85%. Mica.
I also had people who had never taken my classes before. I'd had been members of the gym, had never taken my classes, but they got comfortable taking classes with me when we were shut down. And then now they're signed up for my class every time. They're like, I didn't know, I looked like fun, but I was a little intimidated. They had a taste of it at home. And then they're like, oh, we love this. So people, do things with their camera off and they're like, no one's going to judge me. I got my camera off. And so then they feel more comfortable coming in. It's like, I got this. I can do these moves.
Yeah.
That is exactly of you, Sara, when you were so smart to do virtual before there was virtual. And you mentioned that people took workshops and certifications that they would have never walked to a conference because they were intimidated. We actually have a very secret audience out there. There are a lot of people who've been at home who've all of a sudden picked up fitness and they're afraid to go into the gym. and maybe over time they'll come. So I think the numbers of people getting fit is a little higher than we know, but they're really secret because they're doing it at home. And that virtual community hopefully will build their confidence to come back. But at least it's built something, because there are people who just don't want to go in a gym, and that's okay. But hopefully they will, because they'll see the magic.
Yeah. And Kimberly, you're nodding as well.
I'm just thinking maybe in addition to fusion opportunities, which can help, as Doris says, give the appetizers so they can try different genres of fitness, could be an opportunity, Stacy. I think another thing that we could also focus on are maybe introductory classes. So for those people who aren't turning their cameras on at home and don't want to walk into a health club, never have and maybe never will want to, can still have an opportunity to learn kind of the education side. And Sara, I completely agree with you. I think it is going to be a hybrid. I agree with all of you. It's going to be a hybrid moving forward. And a big piece of it is that feedback. And a big piece of it is the connection. We are hardwired for connection as humans. And there are those that are going to be able to get it through this amazing portal of connection that we have. Thank you, Zoom and all the other platforms that are supporting our ability to do this. But there are those that are really going to want that connection when we're able to hug again in person. And so we're going to have now two modalities that we can serve through, in person and online. And it's going to, dare I say, awesome.
Sorry, what was that, Kimberly?
I said it's going to be, dare I say, awesome.
I love it. All right. And on that note, I know a few of you have seen this video several times, but we're running certifications this weekend, 16 different certifications. I cannot believe it. We're at over 300 people that have registered for certifications to get trained in different modalities. I am just, my heart is full. I'm so excited by this. So here we go. Up. And there you have it, my Wi-Fi. All right, we're going to try one more time. It's not going to go. So I'm going to stop sharing. I love this. The world is our oyster, except if you have children I have one son getting his PhD in bioinformatics, another one going to grad school in business, a third selling cars in Denver. They're all on Wi-Fi, sucking it off of me. I'm going to kill them later. All right. I want to thank you all for joining us. I'm going to ask Mike Lieber to throw in the chat box, if he would, about Certification Smash, because we're real excited about that this weekend. Also, Doris, Mica, and Kimberly, I cannot thank you enough. You ladies are amazing, and I appreciate you joining us. And all of you who are joining our webinars, thank you for being so loyal. And we will see you all next Tuesday. So take care, everybody. Have a good night.